Means to be a man and what it means to be a woman. The average male doesn't truly know the definition of manhood. And I pride myself on being an example of what it means to be a masculine man, divine masculine, because there are differences. Society curates us, the issues and what's wrong with us, but never tells us when there is the correct standard and version of what masculinity looks like. And this can be seen as misandry a lot of times, hatred of men, which could be brewed out of what we now know as feminism and a lack of femininity. And so, if I always say that everything in the universe has a polarity, those are the rules of the universe. So if there's toxic masculinity, then surely there's toxic femininity. And the question becomes, what does that look like? We've never been, just because we've been the victims of oppression, nobody's ever gave us a clean slate to say black people are perfect. And so that same thing goes with the LGBT and the women's movement as well. But sometimes when we're fighting against oppression, we give ourselves this idea that everything that we do on this side is good and there's nothing wrong with us because we're fighting them. And so when you look at what is masculinity and what does it mean to be a man, first we have to explore these concepts and these ideas and these constructs. Because everybody, I personally dislike when people say, well, that's man-made. Because everything's man-made. But at the same time, man means mind, right? And woman is mind. So you're talking about a womb mind, a mind that has a womb that can create a baby, right? I always say that man's womb is in his mind, right? The woman has that same womb, but she also has one in her body as well. So man gets his ideas, and that's what he is able to be impregnated with, and he can produce into reality. But in order to be a man, you have to get to this constitution where you're able to manage yourself. So I like to break down that word man-age. When you're young and you're a boy, somebody else manages your energy for you. They manage your finances, they manage your health, they manage your ability to secure yourself, produce for yourself. They manage your integrity, all these different things until you get to a standard to where, in business, management means the administrator of activities to get to set obligation and goals. So if you want to become a producer, if you want to secure yourself, first you have to first learn how to secure yourself. You have to learn how to protect yourself before you can protect anyone else. So as a man that's masculine, he first learned how to protect himself. Because we were born with bodies that are naturally used to defend and offend if we need to. So learning the construct of your own physiology allows you to first become confident enough to secure yourself, and then you can take that power that you have to secure yourself, and then what? You can secure a woman, right? Confidently. But if you're effeminate and you don't even feel like you can secure yourself, then you need somebody else to do that for you. So in slavery, they said the hardest slaves to make slaves were the masculine ones, because a masculine man wants power. But if you can effeminate that slave, then he needs somebody else to secure him and protect him, i.e. the slave master. So a man that doesn't feel as if he's properly secured within himself, whether that's mentally or whether that's physically, cannot secure anyone else. So therefore we see a lack of protection for women. And we know that the black woman is the most unprotected woman on the planet Earth. And that's because a lot of black men have been effeminized. And that's due to food, that's due to environment, that's due to media, that's due to a myriad of different things. But we have to first define, what does masculinity look like, right? And so you're talking about being connected to your nature. So what does being a man look like, right? A man is a provider, a producer, a protector, one who is able to produce his will from the thoughts that's in his mind. He's supposed to be able to conjure those up, put the work in, and then produce them outward. That's where he gives his birth. But a man procrastinates. What procrastination is effemination in the sense because you can't get past this feeling. Oh, I don't want to do that. I don't feel like doing it. So what is the point of us having logic and rationality? We're supposed to be able to reason with that feeling and then still be able to produce that action. And that's what makes you a man, because you're able to manage your mind. But what is one of the biggest issues is that men don't know the feminine aspect of themselves. So I always say one of the cheat codes to higher consciousness is study the woman. So if you study her and you see she is the embodiment of that feminine energy, right? Because when you talk about feminine, it just doesn't mean woman. You're talking about emotional energy, emotion. right? Your ability to be able to control that and understand that and interpret that. So when you study her, it is a study of yourself. So when man studies woman, he see, oh, I can rationalize using my intelligence over my emotions. So if I get angry, right, or something makes me feel insecure, let me rationally see what is the reason of that. So we say rise above emotions into the thinking of a God. But the average man hasn't sat down and reprogrammed themselves and thought about all of the toxic things that their uncle or their father or their brother has programmed into them. So they don't even know to go back. And they don't even know that there's an issue with the way they present themselves and the way that they act every single day. But the average male is not a man. The average male is a boy. And the average woman hasn't even had the opportunity to see what it's like to be with a man because she's picked so many boys. You all have the slang of top boy out here. Like, that's already emasculating yourself. Like, where's the top man at? You know what I'm saying? So I immediately heard that and like, fuck, I like calling myself a top boy. We hear somebody call me a boy in real life, white man call me a boy, it's an issue. Like, I'm a whole grown ass man. But if you don't even feel like a man, you don't even feel connected to that term, for real. You feel like the construct of manhood today, they teach the millennium generation that the construct of manhood is like an old thing. They teach you to be androgynous within your nature. They don't teach you to take on one energy and then take the embodiment of masculine and feminine, right? Of course we have it within our nature. That's the balance that we have, right? We have conscious minds, we have subconscious mind. That subconscious mind, the sea house of emotion. You can be impressioned through your emotions. We remember our worst experiences because it connects to our memories. And it becomes us and who we are. So if you don't have control over your emotions, then you can be impressioned. So they say, like Muhammad says, 75% of the work is with the woman. But that also means that our minds are 75% subconscious. So you're talking about 75% of the work is with your subconscious mind. It's not enough to consciously say you want to do something. You have to work to impregnate your mind until you actually produce that until it becomes a conscious action. That's called paradigm shifting. So in America, you got a lot of emasculated brothers who don't even think that their duty is to respect or protect the black woman. Because they truly don't respect themselves. They just want some money. They want some things that make them feel good. Hip hop has went away from logic and reasoning. And it has now went into just emotion. Feel good music. That's exactly what the corporations and the marketers are actually targeting. They said that's what they want now. Just music that make you feel, not music that make you think. So these young men don't even think like a man anymore. Now the women on the opposite end, because when you have an imbalance, then the other energy takes on that balance, right? So now the women are becoming more logical. We actually have movements and movies and books and entertainment that says think like a man. But which man are they talking about? The original man, or are they talking about the same man that you consider oppresses you? Because a lot of times, or all the time, you're talking about the man that's oppressing you. You want to think like him so you can be on even kill to get even with him, which makes you as toxic as the thing that you're fighting against. So now you have an entire disruption, an entire imbalance. So now the man and the woman can't even come together because she's so emasculated and he's so feminized. And they don't even respect each other because they no longer fit in the roles of their nature that was made for each other. So now she's thinking so logical, she ain't even emotional no more. You give her some flowers, what the fuck is that? You know what I'm talking about? No more energy, no more femininity. Her voice deeper than yours. You know what I'm saying? And so we have a real big issue because when you masculine, like you want to take on like that Zulu warrior spirit, like you want to go out there and get it. Like there's a certain ambition that you have towards all your thoughts, ideas, and dreams. You're not just sitting on the couch watching Netflix and hoping things come. When you wake up in the morning, you say, how will I execute? How will I do the work? You can tell what kind of man is by what his hands and his feet produce. You can tell what's in a man's mind. And most of what we are producing is nothing. So we're building it off excuses. Excuses are monuments that build, excuses are tools that build monuments of nothingness. And the average man has so many excuses, which is why he has nothing. And so we try to figure out how do we take our minds and we produce ideas and we start to showcase what divine masculinity looks like. And that's masculinity of the higher mind. So you become example. So the black man becomes so impressive to his woman, no other man can even match that standard anymore. So we don't even complain about her going to somebody else. We saying that she don't even have an option no more because we walk in a room, they were talking about with the crown on and everything. nobody else can stand next to the blow. You know what I'm talking about? Because it's top guy season. But if we walking around and complaining and you still carry the same structure and the same design as the last man that she didn't like, now you mad to where she treating you a certain way because she's seen that before. You look like the last nigga that treated her wrong. So it's like, how do you push yourself up to that standard to where a person utters toxic masculinity around you and be like, you don't even know where to fit that at all. They like, what is this right here? In a world, and everybody has the responsibility, they'll start defining what does divine masculinity look like. You can't teach a generation about toxic masculinity without teaching them about what actual healthy masculinity looks like. When something is toxic, you're talking about it's poison.